सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। I'm sorry, I forget the order. After this, we directly do the Upadesa Sara. कर्तुराज्ञया प्राप्यते फलम् कर्म किं परम् कर्म तज्जडम् कृतिमहो दधौ पतनकारणम् फलमशाश्वतम् गतिनिरोधकम् ईश्वरार्पितम् निच्छया कृतम् चित्तशोधकम् मुक्तिसाधकम् कायवाङ्मनः कार्यमुत्तमम् पूजनं जपश् चिन्तनं क्रमात् जगत ईषधी युक्तसेवनम् अष्टमूर्तिभृद् देवपूजनम् उत्तमस्तवादुच्चमन्दतः चित्तजं जपत् ध्यान उत्तमम् आज्यधारया स्तोत्रसासमम् सरलचिन्तनम् विरलतः परम् भेदभावनात् सोऽहमित्यसौ भावनाभिधा पावनीमता भावशून्यसद् भावसुस्थितिः भावनाबला भक्तिरुत्तमा हृत्स्थले मनः स्वस्थता क्रिया भक्तियोगबोधाश्च निश्चतमा।
Thank you. Very good. So we are going to continue from yesterday, and we have seen up to the point where a mind can be made ekagra, flowing to its object of dhyan easily, effortlessly, like a river flows towards its source, the ocean. That dhara is unbroken. Vritti dhara. Vritti is thought. That thought, repetitive thought, is an unbroken thought. And the superior most of efforts and aims that one can invoke in oneself is Soham Upasana, where one is able to invoke the absolute nature of existence upon oneself. This limited being today that I see myself, am I clear? Arora Uncle Ji, is it clear?
You're clear.
Or am I?
Yes, thanks.
Fine.
Yes.
Okay. So, this unbroken state of mind, thought, where One is oneself today in the perception of the limited being. This becomes the sthan of invoking the absolute nature. This body, this mind, this pravritti, these indriyas, locus of invoking, adhishthan of invoking is oneself, swatma, oneself, upon oneself. That becomes soham when that knowledge of Ishvara is unshaken in a person's mind. Means now you have faith, you have conviction, and there is no doubt left in oneself regarding the nature of existence around. That change is a absolute life of world. It doesn't surprise you. It changed birth and death. Between that life, fragile that it appears to be, momentary that it appears to be, is no longer a source of seeking, is no longer a source of seeking fulfillment from here. It's a matter of just converting whatever opportunity one gets or whatever vyavhar one has. It's seeing how well can you establish in the truth, in moving your vehicle of life towards that truth. How far, how much can you do it? That is including activities. Now, Soham Upasana is spoken of in the 8th verse, and in the 9th verse, he says, Shunya Tat Bhava Susthitihi. Ji.
I wanted to ask if Soham Upasana is still a karma.
Question?
Yeah, I wanted to ask if Soham Upasana is still a karma.
Soham Upasana and karma are both actually karma only. Manasa karma. Whatever involves a will, whether it is in the form of upasana or it is in the form of, from Vedic standpoint, they both are karmas only. Upasana is more manasa karma, less kaika karma. Karma, generally used in the sense of physical action, is obviously more kaika karma, but it can never be without manasa vyapar also. So predominance of which faculty is determining it as whether you call it karma or upasana. But broadly, they are both karmas because they both have a phal. What is called a karma? Because karma cannot be separated from its phal. उसको अलग नहीं कर सकते. So whatever involves your will and in execution of which there is a phal that is ordained already, that is a karma.
But for japa, you said it is phal nashak.
It is a phal nashak is its phal.
So that would also
Papanashak
apply
phal is
to,
its phal.
that would also apply to Soham Upasana.
Yes, the phal will be there, and the phal is again all karma. When done nishkam, the phal will be chitta shuddhi, chitta ekagrata. Soham upasana's specific phal will be that it makes the mind conducive and open to soham vichar. Atma vichar. It makes it conducive. It doesn't take you there. Uska phal will be that your mind becomes conducive by destroying all other wrong notions. It prepares the mind to receive the knowledge of Atma Gyan. Clear?
Yeah.
So let me repeat this. Between karma and upasana, there is really, the bhed is only of which is more predominant. Mental activity or physical activity. The karma word is usually associated only with physical activity, so there seems to be initially a little bit of a confusion because upasana, you do not consider it an action. It's purely mind. But if you look at the principle, because it is initiated by a will, that becomes the first factor of karma. Karma cannot exist by itself. There will be a doer of the karma. So initiated by the will, and second thing that it makes it a karma is that every karma has a phal. So japa phal is papanashak. That's its phal. It gives punya karma. That's its phal. And soham upasana, soham vichar gives soham vichar. Soham upasana in specific will make ekagrata, free the person from raga dvesh, etc. Like all other karmas, of course, but the intensity of it will be much more, and it will be directly bringing a person to receiving Atmagyan. Because now soham upasana is one of the last steps of within the Dvaita realm of spiritual activity. Thereafterwards, it will be Shravanam, Manana, Nididhyasanam, Shravanam of Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, Manan on what has been heard, and Nididhyasan of it. That makes it a complete package, as if, which is an independent pursuit. So, karmas and upasanas are the Veda karma part of it. The karmakand part of it. Karmas and upasanas are all making a person yogya of gyan. It's like I said, if you have to pluck, if you have a rose flower, then you remove the thorns from the rose and present a flower. Removing the thorns is equivalent to removing our mind with a lot of agitating thoughts, which sources ragadvesh, ahankar, etc. So through these exercises, through these disciplines, through these sadhanas, a person gets equipped, the mind becomes equipped. Shant is the quality of it. अंदर से एक शांत है, ठहराव है, स्थिरता है. And buddhi is fairly sharp. It's a thinking mind. It's not a dull, lethargic, lazy mind. It's a thinking mind. It's a detached mind. It's an objective mind. It's a cheerful mind. It's a fresh mind. It's actually a mind which is not being bogged down in life. Spiritual sadhanas keeps a mind like a lotus in what is keechad? In slug. Like a lotus grows in that. In the same way, even if everywhere surrounding you, you yourself seem to be a part of samsara, like a lotus, your mind remains untouched and steady in the inquiry of what is truth. Okay? You still have a doubt? Any other question anybody has doubt? Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So why is it so important is the first part of it. And what is the book trying to tell us is a Veda Sara. To all of us, like I said yesterday, we have a choice whether we want to make our life have the Sanskrit word is only more conveying word, adhyatmik gati. अपने जीवन को हमें क्या गति देनी है? What is the progress that I want in my life? What is the direction I want in my life? Where do I want my life to be led? मुझे कहाँ लेके जाना है जीवन को, अपने जीवन को? When I say अपने जीवन को, what do I mean? मुझे कौन से experiences welcoming होंगे अपनी life में? What are the experiences that I would rather avoid in my life? That गति निश्चय करना, गति को सिर्फ निश्चय करना ही नहीं, giving that gati that this life has to move towards progress, and that progress must be spiritual. Means not progress as in दुनिया के graph से progress, it means gati, movement. So these activities are gives a spiritual movement, adhyatmic gati. The more you find your mind is able to remain on these thoughts, the more you find that there is an internal steadfastness and peace that one is constantly otherwise looking for in outer things. So there is these exercises, disciplines, these sadhanas, एक मन में independence आ जाती है. Within yourself, there's a state of independence expression of being able to abide by oneself. So with this, I think that's okay, no other questions, so I will move on. Oh, I can bring them on. What it means, find it. Yeah. So now he says in the 9th verse, Bhava Shunya Sat Bhava Susthiti. Bhava Shunya. Now what is Bhava Shunya? When we started yesterday by saying, when you interact in the world, Dvaita established. The notion that there is duality, the notion the world is different from me, it is an established thought in us. We can't shake the sense of duality. Kuch bhi kar lo. Can you shake away the sense of duality? Is it actually even perceivable to us? Where is the world if you shake the duality? Agar duality chali gayi to. What will happen to my experience of life? Because every experience means there is a duality. Where will the whole world disappear if there is no duality? What will happen? Will I disappear if there is no duality? Because I seem to be there connecting from yeah, okay. I know even I seem to have a lot of distraction from the internet today. I think there's some internet everywhere. So we'll just continue. Now, whatever there is a sense of duality, bhava shunya. The next two verses, 9th and 10th, are going to say, all these practices are culminating themselves in susthiti, abiding in one's own self. Dvaita bhava shunya, through the practices, their goal is one, their objective is one. Whether you have karma yoga, you have bhakti yoga, yoga in the sense of you use that as a predominant tool for your man ki shanti, man ki preparation. Whatever tool you are using, adhyatmic tool using, whether you're doing japa, whether you're doing parikrama, whether you're doing parayanam, whether you're choosing fast or you're choosing jagrans, and whatever be your means of nishtha, abiding in your own what takes you to your spiritual gati, whatever be it, the sole purpose of all these activities are, they are not ends in themselves as we would presume originally when we start. The book clarifies the end is abiding in the Sat Bhav. So when the duality notion is diminishing, it's still there. Without knowledge, it will not go. But the duality is not stark. Stark as in it doesn't stand out. जब avidya बहुत है, when we are steeped in ignorance, our individualities are very firm, are very loud. There is a loud expression of individuality. There's a loud expression means it's always seeking attention, it is always demanding. Individuality is always demanding. That's a sign of steeped in ignorance because it's steeped in identification with the body. When this identification is firm, is very loud, then automatically the mind is restless, agitated, disturbed, and being disturbed, it is going to now affirm constantly the sense of duality. My sentence is really good today, but I'm going to restate this. The louder your ignorance is to yourself, it's very strong. आपको द्वैत में शक नहीं है. You have no doubt that the world is real. That means my ignorance is very, very. I have strong views. It's everybody's ignorance is established, but once you start adhyatmic gati, Dvaita Buddhi is now beginning to merge into, say, supposing you've done Virat Upasana. Now it's merged into seeing the world as one source. ये पूरी दुनिया का कर्ता एक ही है, that jagat. So it's slowly the Dvaita से जो उठ के राग द्वेष अहंकार, the best way to give an example is, if there are two mothers who have just given, say you're in a ward, you've just given birth, that what two mothers who have just given birth to newborns, and newborns are in the nursery, in the crib. The nurses have taken there. When the parent comes to see, they don't know which one is their child. Okay? They see a crib full of children and they know there'll be a bhav for all of them. But jaise hi nurse says that is your child, parent starts crying, is overwhelmed. Because now as if there is a recognition कि ये इसके पहले भी वो child तुम्हारा ही था, वहीं पे था, तुमने देखा भी है, but तुमने पहचाना नहीं कि वो तुम्हारा है. That relation that got strengthened because of the knowledge that ये मेरा है. Suddenly what happened, there is one person, one child which became more focused, stood out, and it kind of merged the other children. Though you have affection for all of them, but now affection for one child became stronger. That affection for one child has come from where? The knowledge that this is mine. It has separated as if the rest of the children and this child. Am I making sense so far? It has separated the rest of the children as if a division has got formed. This is a very thinking which can change a person's outlook. Before I knew this was my child, they were all looking same. The 10 children in that crib, which were just born almost the same time as each other, you had a feeling for all of them because any one of them could have been yours. The minute the nurse said, "This is yours," now a sense of separation as if emerged, identifying you with the child and my child, and now the whole vyavhar with the child, though it is to be like that only. Example is not conveying that point. Example is only conveying the strength of Dvaita Bhav emerged from the notion that ये मेरा है. जब तक वो मेरा वाला expression nahi hai, till that time, all children you looked at them with the same eye, with the same view, with the same perception. In the same way, this whole srishti, puri jagat, jahan main individual, where I become an individual, a strong individual, when my ignorance is strong, I gain this strong individuality and I'm actually attracting or attention. I want fulfillment. I'm loud in my expression of my being. This may be a difficult thing to understand, I think. So, what is it that stronger the attention? Okay, does this sentence make sense at the moment? That stronger my individuality is, louder is the need to be validated. That means what? The stronger I am attached to my Dvaita Bhav, stronger Ragadvesh I have, stronger sense of separation I have. ये मेरा है, ये तेरा है. ये मैं हूं, ये तू है. Those lines are very, very, very firm and strong. They are very distinct. वो जो द्वैत भाव है, that is the seed that has come from the seed of self-ignorance. Not knowing correctly oneself. Now, the minute the seed has sprouted as individuality, and individuality is loud, seeking its own ragadvesh, etc. That bhava, Dvaita bhava, when you start adhyatmic gati, bhava shunya, Dvaita bhava shunya, slowly Dvaita bhav starts to diminish. So even though your child is your child, you have that affection flowing for all children. You're not able to pinpoint more affection for your child. You see children, you will have the same affection of a parent that you have for your child. It seems idealistic in this state. Please stick only to the example. My example may have a strong limitation because the idea I'm trying to convey is only from a Laukik example, an idea which is extrapolated to say how Dvaita gets diminished. The bhav of Dvaita is diminished. The more this is diminished, the more one's manaha, where this Dvaita is experienced, subsides. And where does it subside? It subsides in its source. The next verse he is going to say, Rit sthale manaha. Rit sthale manaha. Rit is heart. The more the bhava shunyata happens, Dvaita bhava shunyata happens, more this manaha abides in its own rith, in its own heart. Heart here is to be differentiated from the physical heart. It's not the left side heart. Shastra says that, I don't know how to put this exactly, spiritual heart is on the right side of your chest. The physical on the side. This heart that Ramana uses here as Rith in his original Tamil version means source. The word would mean source. Source of the mind. मन का स्थान. मन कहाँ उत्पन्न हो रहा है? What is the source of mind? What is the origin of mind? That origin of mind is in your Rith Sthale. It's in the heart. Is established in heart. Which heart? Your spiritual heart. What is the spiritual heart? It is to be said as the source of your consciousness from where I know. That it's not a pinpoint, but it's that point at which it's originating to manifestation. It's that point which is, it's again, point is a very misleading word. It is to say that it is that when you locate your expression of awareness, of consciousness, mind gets its sentiency as if from this Rith Sthale, the spiritual heart. Mind, when it says, I know, whatever we are saying now, आपका मन कह रहा है, हाँ, मुझे समझ आ रहा है, मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा है. There is this conscious expression of knowingness or not knowingness. This conscious expression is getting the consciousness from where? Where is the consciousness coming from? Shastra says it is all pervasive, but locatable in your heart, not the physical, but this expression of existence, pure existence, which is now on your right side or located on the right side. It's almost like saying the example they give in Ramana says in his Ramana Gita, is another book. He says this right side heart is your Sat Bhav, where existence is locatable, pure existence. From here is all this consciousness expressing. It's almost like how sun gives radiation, light to moon, and moon is reflecting the light of sun, but moon becomes a luminous body, indirect expression of light from sun. In the same way, mind today appears sentient. When I say I'm conscious, I'm aware, I'm living. In sab mein, there is a whole, in fact, there is only consciousness expressing. There's only awareness expressing. I am aware. I'm aware that I am this form. I'm aware that I have this thought. I'm aware that I do not know this. I'm aware that I want this. Awareness seems to be the constant. Dvaita Bhava Shunya. As the Dvaita Bhav with spiritual practices begins to loosen the hold, more and more the mind is able to stay in its spiritual heart. It stays in its source, जहाँ से आया है. It stays in its origin. In other words, just when you wake up from sleep, just the first moment. This is a very beautiful reflection. When you just wake up, and if you are grounded in Vedantic knowledge, you want to know, if you're grounded in this perception, you want to know, 1 millisecond before I was sleeping, now I did not say at that time, I am sleeping. 1 millisecond later, I woke up and I'm able to say, I am awake, I was sleeping. I am awake. ये जो thought की उत्पत्ति हुई है, the rise of this thought, the rise of the recognition that I am awake now. That rising of the recognition I am awake has happened where? That rising point. Before this thought rose, the recognition rose that I'm awake. And it's a firm knowledge. Nobody can confuse me over here. If I know I am awake, you try telling me that I'm asleep. I will show you that. You know? I'll show you that you are completely deluded. You know? Because you confuse me that I'm not awake. That's the sign of pure knowledge. I can confuse you because it's evident. भ्रांति नहीं है. जब the bhav has now loosened itself, then that sthan from where the recognition that I am awake also is emerging. जहां से ये rise हुआ, and then when I slept, ये वहीं जाके तो resolve हुआ. This is at the same point. Now, who's a very deep contemplator? I would say it will be 1 in a billion people, and 1 in a, I don't know how many generations it would happen, probably, that a person will become so sukshma in observation that even in sleep, you are identified only with this awareness that there is sleep. Of course, you don't know it, that you are dreaming, but on waking up, you can see the point of rising and resolving of the Jiva Bhava. Because in dream, you don't recognize yourself, and sleep, you do not recognize yourself as a sleeper at all, as a Jiva at all. Sleep is a state of blackness for most people. Just Shanti, लेकिन सब अंधेरा है वहां पे. ये जीव तो है ही नहीं, दुनिया नहीं है वहां पे. The world is not there, I am not there, it was only blank, it was black. I was sleeping. I can only say I was sleeping. I cannot say I am sleeping. In the present tense, you can never put the sleep state. In the dream also, you cannot say I am dreaming. Whatever dreams we are having in waking state as I am waking. Who's dreaming? Me, still in the waking state. I am present continuous only comes in the waking state. So where's this rising and ye ja kahan raha hai? How can all three be my states of experience? They're all three separate states. Three separate experiences. What seems to be common in all three? In my sleep, दुनिया भी नहीं थी, मैं भी नहीं थी, एक कालापन था, एक अंधेरापन था, लेकिन शांति बहुत थी. There's no doubt about that. वो भी मुझे उठने पे पता चलती है. Because when I wake up, I'm a disturbed person. उससे अच्छा I was sleeping was a good option. So I only know that I was peaceful in sleep. But what is the distinction of sleep? There is no duality there. The world is not there, I am not there. There's an absence of duality. Experience. I don't experience the Jagat. Where I don't experience Jagat is called sleep. Where I don't experience Jagat is my sleep, to which I wake up then. What is common in sleep and dream and waking, and then again sleep and dream and waking, and again sleep and dream and waking? If there are 365 days in a year, according to our arithmetic calendar division of time, do this 365 days in your mind. I'm awake, I sleep, dream, one cycle. Dream, awake, sleep, dream, awake, sleep, dream, awake, sleep, dream, awake. 365 days means 1 year gone. Has the cycle interrupted if the life is continuous? Could you break the cycle? Even if you say, I had a short sleep, even if you were sleep deprived, as they do to torture people, do not let you sleep. Even then, this cycle that has continuously replaced one experience with another and three absolutely distinct experiences. You know, when you get knowledge of Vedanta and you start reveling in this perception, this statement itself is so reveling. You just enjoy the statement itself. बोलने में भी बहुत आनंद है और सुनने में I do not know. I guess समझ में आता है तो बहुत आनंद है. Because that's where every prani is having three distinct states of experiences. And yet we are not coming to question what is common in these three. रोज हो रहा है हमारे साथ, हर पल हो रहा है ये. एक स्टेट दूसरे को रिप्लेस करे जा रहा है. 365 in 1 year into whatever number of years we have lived, and not once did our mind go to the thought, what is common in all three? Till Vedanta brings our attention to it. We all live a contented life. We are happy to just perceive in the waking world. What are we perceiving in the waking world? Advaita bhav. Dvait, duality. That Dvait that we experience in the waking world, we affirm reality to it. And this sense of reality with which we are pursuing the waking idea, waking world, waking experiences, this duality, the more one has, man may a sense of resolution of about the world, you know. I don't know if my exaggeration was conveying. When you just about the world, this is like, oh, the world is so wonderful, the world is so this, the world is this world becomes a topic of your interest. What was Vairagyam? When there is Viveka, there is Vairagyam. What is Vairagyam? The world has lost its interest to me because there कुछ बड़ी चीज हो ही नहीं सकती. Because what is bada here in the world is me, the experiencer. मेरे बिना वैसे भी world नहीं है. But who is actually the real bada? It's not, the world is not bada. It's me who is bada. And I know nothing about me. And I'm trying to know everything about the world. So the more there is bhava shunyata, that duality, Dvaita bhava shunyata, the more he says, this mind jahan ye uth raha hai in ignorance, that now starts to resolve. It doesn't rise and it doesn't take, like we often say, when we are, one of the lessons I learned in psychology is the more excited your mind gets, it's like the more excited that it gets, the more depressed also it's likely to get. The sine wave, you know, it goes like that. And that is a very, when you're young in schools and colleges, you think excitement is the flavor of life. How excited can you get? The more excited you are, the happier you are. And when you heard the statement, the more excited it gets, light quickly it is, more depressed it will get. And it's a strange statement, which means you're riding on the waves of excitement, and then excitement gone. When it's gone, it automatically slips and it becomes as if it's depressive. This Dvaita Bhava life experience, it says now, the lesser and lesser that graph rises and falls. That means it's like just about, and then dhire dhire it stays more in touch with its own self. From where it's rising, it doesn't need to have the loudness of its appearance. It doesn't need loud claiming that I am there, मुझे भी देखो, मुझे भी चाहिए, मेरा क्या है, मेरा नजरिया, मेरा क्या होगा, I am also existent, that I has this huge, loud want for something to attach to. I is wanting to attach to something or the other when there is a Dvaita Buddhi. So slowly what happens is, he says that this Ritsthale, in that heart which is the origin of your I, which is the origin of your consciousness, thoughts, mind, which is that slowly the mind remains resolved in it. Uthta nahi. You are woken up, but Dvaita Bhav has now started to, of course this is the culmination, so it's going to be definitely on the more advanced stages. It's not so applicable. This will be probably, these verses are the end point, and therefore there will be validity for those who have had this practice. I always say Shastra works greatest as valid, approving validity. That means if you are doing the right things, you see certain things in yourself, you're thinking, and then suddenly you hear Shastra says this, and oh yes, that's what I was also suspecting. So it becomes like a means for validating your experience and knowledge. So this two verses is something like validate that if you are doing it correctly, dhire dhire the Shanti percolates in your mind. Shanti rehti hai, because Sat Bhava Sthiti. The 9th verse said, you remain in the Sat Bhava Susthiti, that which is pure existence. And this kind of a Soham Bhavna se, when you are in learning to, when you have started to resolve the mind, it's resolving now to its own state of Shantata. That Sadbhav is the highest form of bhakti. And here then he says in the 10th verse, once this has achieved, the mind is now not so much high and low, is able to stay in its own source. In an ocean, when the wave rises, when the wave rises in an ocean, the wave rises in the ocean, sustained by the ocean, resolves in the ocean. Even when there was a wave, what happened to the rising and the falling of the wave? The ocean, what was the role of the ocean? The wave was never separate from the ocean. Wave was an appearance. Wave was only an appearance. It was never separate from the ocean. It just appeared as a wave, but it was always the ocean. In the same way, as the book proceeds further, I'm just concluding. So this whole Jiva Drishti, that I am this form, मैं ये जीव हूँ, I am this individual, the world is separate from me. This whole Jiva Drishti is like a wave appearing in this, which is pure consciousness, pure Brahman, pure Atman. The Jiva is just rising, the Jiva Bhav is rising in Atman. While it is rising, it is sustained by Atman, it resolves in Atman, and it only looks to be different. It appears to be separate, but it has no separation. Soham Upasna starts to make the mind accept Advaitam. And once a person has all these practices a little regularly done, then this mind, he says, is now advanced. Maybe after a lot of practice, it is possible for someone now to say that this point of observation is now clear. This point of rise is now clear. You can see it. That's what Ramana did. He's going to talk further, of course, resolving it into I, and then I becomes the thought of your observation. But Rits Thale Manaha, Suavastha, Swasthata, Kriya Bhakti Yoga Bodhaha Cha Nishchitam. This is the final goal of all the spiritual practice. Upasana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Pranayam, anything when you do, its final goal is that this mind has to remain abided in its source. What is the source? Atman, pure awareness, unconditioned awareness, the source in which you see that sleep, dream, waking. Sleep, dream, waking. Even after hearing it, that's why sometimes children take it very fast. Of course, you can't be absolute. Somewhere between 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 years. When you hear this, your intelligence is shaken up. Some people have it. It shakes you up to say, oh, this is a very valid point. I sleep, I dream, I'm awake. I slept, I dreamt, I am awake. In my dream, can I say I am dreaming? I was awake? Can you say that in your dream? That waking reference जो अब waking है, इस reference को आप dream में ला सकते हो कभी? Dream आपको real लगता है, but this waking is not your reference point. It's like a different world. दुनिया ही अलग है. And what happened to the sleep? दोनों ही नहीं है वहाँ. ना dream है, ना there is no dream world, there is no waking world. Now, this me slept, me dreamt, I am awake. Again, me slept, me dreamt, I am awake. This cycle is what we are calling as life. The day this cycle breaks means ये प्राण निकल गए. कि अब उसकी ये साइकिल टूट गई. इस जन्म की टूट गई. अब ये नहीं उठ रहा वापस. That is what we've said is the end of this cycle. The question is, while this cycle is on, a mind needs to contemplate, a person needs to contemplate what is common in these three. इन तीनों में कुछ common है क्या? Is my question clear? For FP also. Is the question clear?
Yes, Titi.
Yeah, great. Sleep is so distinct, dream is so distinct, waking is so distinct. In waking, I can never say I was awake. If I say I was awake, it's just a memory. Oh, I think I was awake at that time. Eh? Do you get a doubt that you were awake? You will always say, I am awake. It's doubtless knowledge. That these three are distinct and separate. Grapple it, I would say, grapple it to the soul, as people say in English. Grapple it to your soul. इतने distinct है first step. जब मुझे इसकी clarity पूरी आती है, then I start thinking, what is common in the three? That becomes the origin in the waking state to notice the common of the three. In the waking state, I am able to see Rits Thale. It is here in the perceivable, here in the waking state. Not just the physical body. No, it doesn't mean the physical body. Here in the waking state, it is perceivable now. It's evident. The common factor is evident. This can only happen when the mind has taken some shantata. Then you can see the rise of the thought and the fall of the thought at some point. Okay, I will conclude here now. And is there a question?
Dipiji, this Ritsthale, the Ritsthal that we're talking about, maybe we can clarify this a little more. I understand that these three states, when we begin to differentiate, when we begin to say that there is a common origin to these three states, that will origin from the Ritsthal. That's clear. But जैसे common parlance में हम मन बोलते हैं, so Ritsthal is clearly not man then.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
I wanted to ask, what is the difference in the Ritsthal and the Atman, or is it the same?
Same. Just to say that it is just as we said, Ishvara is the first manifestation of Nirgun Brahman, but it is still subtle. In the same way, in this Sharira, the first is, where is it identifiable? How is it identifiable? How is it expressing? It doesn't mean it's just on the right side. It is only to indicate that there is a point of reference from where if you are introverted enough, you will observe the rising and the falling of your mind there. उस स्थान को रित का है. In English, translation has been mind itself, antakaran itself, a lot of places. But Ramana makes this effort, and I think it's in line with what Shastra says, that it's better to keep these two as separate, because then you can clearly identify man is entire thoughts. Where do the thoughts rise and fall? Where they are rising and falling is Rit.
But Atman is all pervasive. So, I mean, is it something that people can feel in this particular spot, the right side?
No, you cannot say you can feel it here. Because it's all pervasive, it is also now expressing here in this Sharira. Like the mirror example we have given. Sunlight is all pervasive, but it is shining in that mirror, because mirror has the capacity to shine it, reflect it back. So right side is actually not even very important to be mentioned. It is just to drive home the point of saying this entire mind is observable. If it's observable, then there is an observer of it. That sthan of the observer, where is it that sthan will be called as if it's a rit, it's the heart of the being. And in English, you would say this is the heart of the person. You're not literally defining it as the heart of the person. This person has a huge heart. What does that mean? इसका दिल बहुत बड़ा है. I mean, it's not, you know, उसका दिल बहुत बड़ा is a figurative way of saying he has a generous nature. You know, in the same way, this, it's the rit of the being, means it's the heart of the being. इस पूरे conscious being का expression is this, is the heart of the being. In that sense, the rit is used.
So when
Deepti ji,
you are in
go
a
ahead. क्या
meditation, when we are in a meditative state, can we call it as a fourth state? I mean, I know we are awake, but it still feels very different from just being awake and focusing or observing different things which are non-sensory.
But it is from the mind. So in deep meditation, like that samadhi also, Ashtanga in last part would be samadhi, where there's a complete absorption of the mind. It almost looks as if now this is a non-dual state, but it is still in the waking because samadhi breaks. So it won't be the fourth state. There will be no fourth state ever. The only fourth reference point is this common that's running in the three. उसको वो fourth कह देते हैं. Yes, Akanksha?
Deepti ji, like how we say कि वो अंगुष्ठ मात्र नारायण हमारे हृदय में, in the cavity of the heart. Can we think of that also as the rit? Or like how Hanumanji opened his this thing and showed Bhagwan Ram there.
Yes. That symbolism of Hanumanji opening his heart and showing Ram is absolutely this. That in his whole being there was only Ram. That is the symbolism of it. Correct. Good point.
So is that the same thing as rit?
Yes. Means, yeah, I'll leave it there. Yes.
It's just a symbolic way to.
It is
It's a
symbolic way. Yeah.
way of saying that your Antakaranam is full of this. You are closest to it now.
Okay. Okay.
For Hanuman, there was only one, and that's it. Ram is the only. He's that for him the Dvait is only up between the Bhakta, him, and Ram, and in his entire being only Ram. So for him Ram is everything, and in him. So there is absolutely no division between anything else. To say that in my Rith there is only Ram. Okay? Good point. Okay, everyone. Yes, the Atlanta goes beyond thoughts. That must be a typo. So Vrit is source of thoughts. Vrit is thoughts. Vrit is not source of thoughts. Vrit is thoughts itself. Okay, so yes, so let's conclude. Thank you, everyone. Akanksha, you just want to.
Sarvesham svastirbhavatu, Sarvesham shantirbhavatu, Sarvesham purnam bhavatu, Sarvesham mangalavatu, Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, Sarve santu niramaya, Sarve bhadrani pashyantu, Ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om swasti prajabhyah paripalayantam nyayena margena mahisha gobrahmanebhyah shubhamastu nityam lokah samastah sukhino bhavantu kale varshatu parjanyah पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ओम्।
So much, everyone.